I love flankers. I think we all do. Flankers can add so much to your collection. They can add so much to just the excitement of further exploring this type of hobby. But there is one problem with flankers, and that is it makes it very easy to forget about the originator of the fragrance line. There are so many fragrance lines out there that now have tons and tons of flankers, and those are being talked about, those are being hyped up, and the original kind of is forgotten about. And it's a shame because a lot of times that original fragrance is actually really good. Now, I've said this before, and I know a lot of you guys are probably the same, but when I start diving into a brand new line that has a bunch of flankers, I almost never start with the original. I always skip it just because I feel like, and I think to myself that maybe it wouldn't be that good. But every time I've done that and I finally circle back to the original and try it, I've been thoroughly impressed because a lot of times that OG fragrance that starts it all is really good and one of the best. So today we're going to be going over 10 fragrance originals that you can't forget about. You got to make sure you give these some love. I will provide links to all of these down below. Let's get it kicked off with BVLGARI Man Eau de Toilette, just the original, you know, the clear bottle. Vetiver, honey, woods, and violet leaf are some of the main notes in this one. This whole line is done by Alberto Marias, which is really cool because when you can get these for a good price of around $40 to $50, you're getting something made by a legend, and you don't have to spend as much as you maybe normally would for a lot of fragrances that he creates, which could be going for, you know, closer to $100. Now this one here is interesting. It has a little bit of like a mature, slightly older school masculine smell to it. Now don't get me wrong, it doesn't smell old or even really dated or anything, but it is a different style of men's fragrance, and it's definitely not anything similar to what's being put out today. Now that makes sense, it's been out for a while, but if you do go into this one, just do be aware that it's not your trendy modern scent. You know, it's something a little bit different, but it's really shockingly good. You get a nice mixture of notes, bits of sweetness, bits of freshness, aromatic tendencies as well. It just has a lot going on, and you know, it is one that was like the last one for me to get. You know, I got the entire line now, and that was one of the final ones that I got, and I wish I would have started there or at least got that one much sooner because I really like it. Next up, we're going to go with Mugler's Angel Men. Now, I know a lot of you guys aren't going to forget about this one. A lot of you may still wear it as your signature scent. You may love it. You know, you may wear it all the time, whatever the case may be. But the one thing about the Mugler Amen line is that people will focus and obsess on ones like Pure Malt, Pure Havane, which are both kind of hard to get. And there's a few other ones as well. They've got a lot of them. You know, Ultra Zest, for example, big obsession over that. As soon as these start to get rare and hard to find, the hype really builds up, and so we'll spend so much time trying to track down and get the you know, Pure Malt and Pure Havane and Ultra Zest and the rare ones, and we'll try to figure out things that smell similar to them, and we're forgetting that one of their best ones, the head of the line, is still available in stock for $50–60. And I love the original. It's coffee, it's chocolatey, very masculine, heavy on the patchouli. It's not for everybody. It's a daring scent for sure, but they really did something unique with this one. It's a men's fragrance that everyone should know about, and I think a lot of guys should own it as well. Next up, let's go with Abercrombie & Fitch First Instinct. Yeah, believe it or not, that one is one that I think can kind of be overshadowed a little bit because there's First Instinct Extreme, which is a little bit more rare that I see people bring up often. There's also First Instinct Blue, First Instinct Together. I would bet that they are not done yet. I'm sure they're going to continue to put out more. But to me, I think the original is the best, and it's the one that you could still get easily for a good price. Extreme is really good. It's more expensive. I mean, sometimes I've seen it for $60, $70, which is really getting up there for an Abercrombie & Fitch First Instinct fragrance, right? Blue I never really cared for, and Together I really didn't care for. And while the focus may be on those newer flankers, because it is something new and interesting, you got to remember the OG, and for a lot of us, I think that's the best one. Next up, I've talked about this one a good amount. It's Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Eau de Toilette. Almond, tonka bean, and leather are a few of the notes here. I bring this one up in passing quite a bit. A lot of times if I'm talking about the eau de parfum or the extreme or anything like that, I'll bring up the EDT and say, hey, if you guys are having trouble getting your hands on any of the other flankers and they're really being talked about, buy the EDT. Seriously. Sure, it's not the exact same as the EDP or the extreme, but it's still that DNA. It's where that DNA started, and it's a really, really good scent. It's pretty much the most affordable. It's always in stock pretty much everywhere. It's easy to get, and yet people will still not pick it up. And hey, I do the same thing, but it's just so crazy how we fixate on these rare, out of stock, hard to get fragrances when you have the original right there. That's also really good. There's times where I'm craving the EDT, and there's times where I'm craving the EDP or the extreme. But the point is, the EDT, the head of the line, is really good stuff. Next up, we have CH Men, the original by Carolina Herrera. So no, it's not CH Men Privé, we're talking CH Men. Now, CH Men Privé is discontinued, and because of that, it's getting a little bit more talk. It's kind of popping up in and out of stock. Prices are going up, but it's one that you can still pick up here and there, although it isn't being produced anymore. That being said, the original CH Men appears to be in full production. It's still at the typical $50, $55, $60 price point, 100 ml online. It's all over the place. I believe it's still on their website. That one is going to be around for a little while longer. Now, one of the problems with CH Men and why I think it stalled, and this happens a lot in the fragrance community, is the batch change. Really, it's the change in presentation, the packaging. It went from having a red ribbon to now looking like the new style bottle, and people went in a frenzy over that. They're trying to hunt down red ribbon and stressing out about buying it because they can't find the red ribbon bottle and they don't want to buy the new one because they're afraid it might not be as good. And ultimately, that ends up driving people away from the fragrance altogether. Now, if you go look out there, just in general, in the fragrance community, forums, videos, whatever, no one's really talking about CH Men anymore, and that's a big reason why. People just kind of got scared away from it. That being said, I have old versions, I have new versions. Guess what? Still smells great. Small differences being that the older one's a bit more green, grassy. Performance has never been great on any of them, so that's not a concern. It's just, an average 6-hour scent or whatever. But the point is, don't forget about it. It's a really good, unique scent. Sugar, leather, grass. What else do we got? Vanilla. It's awesome stuff. It's a very wearable leather, and you shouldn't forget about it. Next up, Valentino UOMO. Hazelnut, chocolate, leather, and coffee are some of the main notes. So I've talked about this one a good amount as well, mainly because for a while, the UOMO Intense was out of stock everywhere. Not really sure what was going on. It's kind of starting to trickle back a little bit. Still somewhat challenging to pick up. But eventually I was like, all right, I got to go ahead and pick up the original UOMO for a buying guide. I believe that was the last one that I picked up as well. And I was testing it for the buying guide, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is really, really good stuff. Smells fantastic. I like the coffee, the chocolate in there. You get that hazelnut, but you still get, just the UOMO DNA, right? That's where it came from. If you like UOMO Intense, chances are you're still going to like the original UOMO. A lot of people start with UOMO Intense. That's great. It's a great starting point. But I do think everyone should circle back around to the original at some point. Next up, we have BVLGARI AQUA pour homme, the original. So you guys know the whole story with this line. And now it's pretty much like the whole line is discontinued except for the original. So now you have no choice but to give attention to the original. AQUA Amara, that was the main hype beast. It blew up in the community. They discontinued it. No, they don't talk about it anymore. AQUA Atlantique came around as kind of the second big hyped scent of the line. It really didn't get as big as AQUA Amara, but it did well for itself. It's one of my personal favorites. I love it. It is now discontinued, and also looking the same for Aquamarine. Of course, the tonic versions have been discontinued for a long time now, so we're really just left with the original. That being said, a lot of the talk is still going to be surrounding those discontinued flankers now. Even AQUA Amara, which has been discontinued for several years, still kind of has a cult following. People still bring it up in passing here and there and talk about it. But all I'm saying is, you should still remember the original because it's also a good scent. Seaweed, sea notes, citrus, florals. It is a true aquatic fragrance, and a lot of times it's relatively affordable. Next up, John Varvatos Artisan, just the original. Clementine, musk, and orange blossom are some of the main notes in this one. It has a little bit of a smell that's kind of similar to Clinique Happy for Men. You guys probably know that fragrance. It's all over the place. Cheapy. It's an orange fragrance, obviously. You know, nothing really to write home about, but still, it's a popular scent. It's a really nice, uplifting orange scent. And so if you wanted to think of it this way, you could say that John Varvatos Artisan is like a more expensive and kind of refined smelling version than, you know, Clinique Happy for Men, with some added accords as well. That's kind of one way you could look at it, just very, very general. It's really nice stuff. It kind of shows you what John Varvatos is capable of creating without commanding a huge price tag. On discounters, the original Artisan, $35–40, and that's for a 4.2 ounce bottle, which is a great price per milliliter. Artisan Pure, Artisan Blue, Artisan Aqua, John Varvatos Vintage, you know, all of those ones there are talked about much more. Really, no one's talking about the OG Artisan, but you definitely should. Second to last fragrance, we have YSL Y Eau de Toilette. Lavender, aldehydes, and ginger are some of the main notes. So you guys know this one, of course. Y EDP, Y Parfum, and even Y Eau Fresh are generally going to be talked about more than the Eau de Toilette. Now, the Eau de Toilette has been reformulated to comply with ongoing restrictions, so that kind of put the spotlight back on it, but I still think it's going to kind of step to the background, and the Eau de Parfum and the Parfum are going to continue to be the forefront. Now, don't get me wrong, the Eau de Parfum and the Parfum are my two favorites of the line. Really splitting hairs. I mean, the Parfum kind of wins over for me in terms of my favorite, but the EDP still has a special place to me, so it's right there with it. But the Eau de Toilette, especially the new version, really offers a lot. I prefer the new version, the formulated version, over the old one now after testing them. I like the new one. It's a little bit more fresh. It's more of a summertime version, a more summertime appropriate version than even the old version, the old Eau de Toilette, but it's also more summertime appropriate for the Eau de Parfum, the Parfum, for people who don't want to wear something a little bit more sweet in the summertime. For me, I love wearing the Eau de Parfum and the Parfum in the summer. I've been wearing it a lot here lately as it's been really warm, and it always works great for me. But if you're uncomfortable with that, the new Eau de Toilette is a great way to go. You could go with the Eau Fresh as well, but the new EDT, that stuff's awesome. And last up, we have YSL L'Homme. So this line especially, if you also combine the La Nuit de L'Homme line, those two are huge. You've got La Nuit de L'Homme, you've got the Les Parfums and the Parfums on each side and everything in between. It's so easy to forget about L'Homme, just L'Homme. But it is a work of art. It is a masterpiece. It's got ginger, lemon, spices, has this apple smell, even though they don't list apple. Said it before, smells like an apple orchard to me. It's just a gentleman's classic that smells incredible. It's high quality, it's smooth, it's refined, it's not loud, it's very mild. It would be a perfect fragrance for a guy who wants something subtle. You don't want anything crazy loud and obnoxious. You want kind of a true gentleman's scent. Check out the original L'Homme. Yes, the original L'Homme. Check it out. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. 10 fragrance originals that you should not forget about. Amazing stuff here. Love all of these, each for their own reason. And while the flankers of a lot of these, or really all of these, kind of overshadow the original here, you still need to check them out. Links down below. That's gonna do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.